Boys in the laundry stashed the parts?
Of course they fucking did.
What the fuck? I killed him.
You've been in the joint too long, Al. You've forgotten how to get shit done.
How's it going, my evil residents? Today we'll be ranking every single weapon in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies from worst to best in the most objective way I can possibly rank them. However, some of my personal biases will show through, as they will with anyone's list whether they admit it or not. The fun part is seeing people's differences in opinions, so please don't make that unfun by being disrespectful to me or other commenters and creators in the comments, please and thank you. How effective lots of weapons can be depends a lot on player skill, the map, your location, strategy, if you're speedrunning, doing high rounds, Easter eggs, playing casually, so I will be taking as many pros and cons into consideration for these rankings as I can for an average ranking. Weapons good at most everything will be on the top, weapons that are good at nothing will be at the bottom. This list does include literally every weapon. I'm not kidding when I say if you can equip it or buy it, I put it on this list. Two things that will not be on here are traps and PhD flopping. Traps are not equipped by the player, so I didn't want to include them, and PhD flopping isn't on here because I consider it to be closer to an activity than a weapon. I will also be including most buildables that either do damage or are essential to core game flow, like the turbine. That said, all weapons, wonder weapons, grenades, tacticals, buildables, and melees will be on here. I've gotten some epic members of the zombies community to cameo in this video to talk about their favorite or least favorite weapons, especially when I didn't have too much to say about them because some of them liked staffs that I didn't like and they wanted to talk about them, so here they are. Keep an ear out for any sudden and jarring bumps in audio quality, or, suddenly people becoming British. If you like what someone's saying, you can find their channel link, Twitter link, and their most recent video or their Twitch channel down in the description. Thank you ahead of time very much to B-Rad The Man, ChickenTeller, Stanley557, Joltz, the FPSPsycho, and GregFPS for popping in for this. I do want to note up here at the top, all of the ranking positions are by me, and some of the creators had different thoughts on the weapons than I did, so they may like or dislike a weapon more than I do, and might put it a little higher or lower than I do, so I just want to note that before you hear their section. If you don't agree where it's ranked, they did not rank it. They're just giving their thoughts on it in place of mine. I'm the one that ranked all of these. If you want to know my thoughts about a weapon that another creator talked about, just let me know in the comments and I'll drop you a quick reply. I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into the video. In last place, we have the electric trap. The electric trap is available on transit and is buildable in the power area. It requires a turbine to function, and it does infinite damage, but it does not function properly whatsoever. Zombies are either going to regularly walk through it, or stop right in front of it to break it, or attack the turbine that you place right next to it. This thing will not kill every zombie that passes through it. Zombies can easily walk around it, through it, over it, under it, or just stop and break it. It's borderline useless. It is not reliable. It definitely does not work properly. Its buildable location is in the most cramped, dangerous area of the map, at least one of them. So in solo, it is completely useless because you need a turbine for it to function, and getting to it, getting out with it, or bringing a turbine to its location are all just not good ideas. Only use case I could think for this is to place it on the entrances to the bus, but even then, you can only really hold like one, so not useful. Overall, electric trap, garbage, horrible. It belongs at the bottom of the list easily. Horrible. I would literally rather have just a turbine that does no damage than have this. In 85th place, we have the knife. The knife is available on every map, obviously, because it's a spawn weapon as always, and it does 150 damage as always, but it can be increased using the ballistic knife. The knife is a go-to for low rounds, insta-kill, double points combo, a match made in heaven, and for stimming between rounds if you don't have any Subway Surfers gameplay playing on the side, because you have the attention span of a TikToker like myself. Knifing overall feels really good in this game, but it's still not going to get you too far on its own past like round 3, 4 if you're really good at this game. So while it is useful, it has its uses for getting lots of points and such. Can't get too far with it on its own, so it goes in 85th place. In 84th place, we have the grenades. Grenades are available on all maps and are not upgradable in any way whatsoever. They do 1,000 damage and do a modest 50 or so damage on direct impact if you hit a zombie directly with it without it going off. Players can hold 4 at once and receive 2 every round. Grenades are great for making crawlers for a partner to watch, but due to faster bleed out and respawn mechanics in BO2, it's just not a useful mechanic in solo, because if you abandon the crawler, you're gonna die and it's gonna flip you around. On co-op, you can have a partner hold it, but even then, you can just keep a regular zombie forever, so there's kind of no point in doing this. It's also helpful for opening the fountain shortcut in Buried and breaking the tombstones for the ice staff if you don't have any bullet weapon. Overall, I'd consider it a downgrade from the Black Ops 1 grenade because it's less reliable to hold crawlers, and that is its main use case, but it does still have some of its niche, very useful uses. In 83rd place, we have the turret. The turret is available on transit, and it does infinite damage much like the electric trap. It's buildable in the farm area and requires a turbine to function. While it kills pretty efficiently, it's very difficult to use solo as it will instantly kill the player if they run into its line of fire. It will be instantly down even with Jug. It also lets some zombies through, and it cannot be moved around easily unless you pick it up, pick up its turbine, or you build it on the bus, so it just kind of goes around with the bus and kills the zombies that are chasing the bus. As I just mentioned, only really good use case for this is just to put it on the back of the bus. It's not good to camp with because if you need to leave your camping spot, it's gonna gun you down, or it'll just run out of power or won't kill all the zombies, so you have to do a lot of help with it anyway. Overall, just not very useful. They're off using other traps, other things on transit. Don't bother with this. It's also kind of in a bad buildable spot, and just setting it up anywhere else is a huge pain. Next up, in the 82nd place, we're going to be talking about the Bowie knife. Bowie knife is available on all Victus maps plus Nuketown. It costs 3,000 points, and it does 1,000 extra knife damage. It can be increased. It does 1,000 extra knife damage, and it can be increased by using the ballistic knife. Bowie knife is completely outclassed by the Galvan Knuckles, as its only main use is removing denizens faster and getting more early round points. The Galvan Knuckles do both of these either more efficiently or for twice as long. The Galvan Knuckles also one-hit kill longer than the ballistic knife and Bowie knife damage stack does. So yes, while it is half the price, you're better off just saving up for the Galvan Knuckles because they're going to kill for 2 times as long, I believe, either 2 or 2.5 times as long, and they will get the denizens off of your back even faster than the Bowie knife will. We'll talk about that more when I talk about the Galvan Knuckles, but they're just completely outclassed by those, and they share pretty much all maps. There's not a map Bowie knife is on that the Galvan Knuckles aren't also on. Next up, we have the Semtex. Semtex are available on Transit, Nuketown, theyre, and Origins, and they cost 250 points off the wall. They do 1,000 damage with no direct impact damage like the regular grenades, but they do stay where they land, and you do not have to cook them. They have a fixed fuse that starts right when you throw the grenade. They can clear a whole horde on insta-kill to save some ammo, as they have a slightly larger explosion radius. They just act as slightly more reliable grenades, which is why I put them higher, but they're not much more reliable than the grenades, which is why they don't go any higher than the 81st place. In 80th place, we have the first, mostly typical gun of the entire list. We have the War Machine. The War Machine is a grenade launcher that pack punches into the dystopic demolisher. It fires 6 grenades, pack punched and unpack punched, with 18 in reserve, unpack punched, 48 in reserve, pack punched. It gains high mobility and impact detonation grenades when you pack punch it, as well as reloading every single grenade in its drum with 1 grenade. While it is admittedly okay on lower rounds, especially on Origins or something like that, where you can get PhD Flopper, you're not likely to have PhD Flopper and this gun at the same time on Origins, and obviously you won't have it with PhD on other maps because PhD is not on other maps, because I have no idea. The grenades from the War Machine also do less damage than the grenades that you spawn with. When pack punched, the grenades from the dystopic demolisher, 900 damage. The grenades you spawn with do 1,000 damage. Overall, the War Machine is just not good. You're literally better off just spamming the grenades that you spawn with, and it costs way less money. Minimum, you're spending 6,000 points for worse grenades. It's not good. Anyone who argues that this thing is slightly useful, sure, you're right. But why would I spend so much money to get this thing that's only slightly useful when I could literally use most any other gun in the game and receive more benefit? Doesn't make sense to me. It's not good for points. It does very mediocre damage. It is a pain to use when unpack punched. Overall, almost completely useless, but I do have to acknowledge that I can't place it any lower, because if you do pack punch it, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Coming in at number 79 is the SMR. For those of you keeping track at home, this makes the SMR the worst gun in the entire game, at least in terms of zombies. It was actually pretty solid in multiplayer, although there wasn't much of a reason to use it over the FAL. Anyways, the SMR has the lowest damage out of all the assault rifles, including the M14, which is literally a weapon you can buy off the wall in the starting room for 500 points. And as if it weren't already bad enough, it also doesn't even shoot straight. For some reason, your shots have random spread while aiming down sights. It's so bad that your accuracy will actually be better if you crouch and hipfire. The spread does get better when you pack a punch, but even that doesn't completely eliminate it. The SMR has 20 rounds in a mag and 140 in reserve. When upgraded, it turns into the SM1L3R, or the Smiler. It gets a hybrid sight with a smiley face reticle, 30 round mag, and 420 rounds in reserve. Although, it actually only comes out of the Pack-a-Punch with 390 in reserve. You have to get a max ammo to get the full 420. Also, for some reason, if you put it back into the Pack-a-Punch to get a different attachment, the reserve ammo will be cut in half, down to 210. Treyarch were definitely trolling when they made this thing.
In 78th place, we have the Cap 40. Cap 40 Pack-a-Punches into the Karmic Atom Perforator 4000, a pretty awesome Pack-a-Punch name. And once Pack-a-Punched, it does 200 damage with a 3.5x headshot multiplier, 15 rounds in the mag, and 180 in reserve, with a very high fire rate, and it can be double Pack-a-Punched to gain a long barrel to increase its damage fall off range. Overall, this thing is not worth Pack-a-Punching whatsoever. It's like the Spectre from Black Ops 1, but not as good because it has basically no ammo and an incredibly high fire rate, so all that ammo is going to disappear immediately. It's good for points, but best things for points are wall guns because you can buy more ammo for them, and it's like exponential growth type thing. Spend a little money to make money. With this, it's spend 950 points to fire 100 bullets, and then that's it. Doesn't do a lot of damage, so it's not going to carry you literally anywhere. It's not worth Pack-a-Punching. For perspective, when you Pack-a-Punch this thing, it gets 195 rounds total, right? Total 195 rounds. It has about 1,000 RPM. It's going to be gone in a fifth of a second, all that ammo. With reloading, probably going to be gone in 30 to 45 seconds. It's not good. It's literally only good for points, but because it's a box gun and has so little ammo, it's still not great for points. But if you get it out of the box, you can get some points with it. So I put it above the War Machine because the amount of points you will get is pretty nice. Next up in 77th place, we have the Ballistic Knife. This is a single-shot gas-powered projectile weapon that does 500 or 1,000 damage when you are knifing it, or 1,000 and 1,500 damage when you are knifing while it is Pack-a-Punched. Those two numbers are dependent on whether or not you have the Bowie Knife. It also does a 2x headshot multiplier when you shoot it at the zombie's head. So if you are going to be shooting this at zombies, aim for the head. It has 4 in reserve unpack-a-punched, 9 in reserve pack-a-punched. Overall, very high mobility, and you can revive bad teammates with it. Only map that I really consider the revive mechanic to be good on is Die Rise because transit is too wide for it to be useful. Nuketown is so narrow that if somebody goes down and you try to revive them mid-round, you're also just gonna die. And if you're reviving someone mid-round, you don't need this to revive them. Just use Quick Reviver, just revive them normally. And then on Buried, same deal as Nuketown. Overall, its highest use cases on Die Rise, where if somebody's on the opposite rooftop of the skyscraper, you can just shoot it at them. If you're pretty decent at aiming, you know its trajectory. But overall, the utility this provides is not much better than Quick Revive, and you're sacrificing an entire weapon slot for this. So overall, it's just not super great. Yeah, it has a niche cool use. That niche cool use is not useful the majority of the time, unfortunately. Next up, right above the Ballistic Knife, is Sekhimet's Vigor. This is just the Ballistic Knife, but way fucking better, and it doesn't take up any weapon slot. It's an extra equipment. I think I should have ranked this higher. I think if I were to redo this list, I would probably put this at about 70, 65 to 70, somewhere in there. Genuinely, Sekhimet's Vigor is so underrated. Let me just rant about this for a little bit. It revives teammates, much like the Ballistic Knife does, with taking up a spot. It has 4 shots. It has infinite damage, but it only has 4 bullets, and it only kills 1 zombie per bullet, so it technically will out-damage most of the weapons on this list. But on top of this thing absolutely decimates panzers. You can nuke a panzer with this thing. If you're out of staff ammo and a panzer spawn without Sekhimet's Vigor, he's gone. It's dead. That's it. Even if you have staff ammo and you want to save it for something, just whip out the Sekhimet's Vigor, bonk him with it, he's done. He's cooked. Overall, incredibly useful, really shows what a utility weapon should be in zombies. If you want something in your main slots that's actually going to do damage, this thing clearly is not that. It's not a damage weapon, but it has very specific uses in the utility slot that make it really good and really fun to use. It also has the most satisfying firing sound ever made. Moving on to the weapons that I would consider to be underwhelming, we're going to be starting with the Claymore. Claymores in this game are just as good as they were in Black Ops 1, if not a little bit better, because of the fact that one of the main high round strats for Origins is going to be heavily reliant on the Claymores for the extra movement speed, because you're just sitting in the mud, training them up, and you need that extra movement speed with the Claymores. They're really good on Origins specifically for that. They're good on Transit if for some reason you don't have a buildable. Yapping, yes. They're also good on Transit for for just running around if you don't have a buildable for some reason. If you left it somewhere, buy these, run a lot faster. Very handy for that. They also do 4,000 damage, and they stack, I think, infinitely, nearly infinitely. I'm pretty sure there's a limit on them, but realistically, for all practical reasons, they stack infinitely. So you can just slap them all down in a corner. Oh, I'm in trouble. Run over to that corner. Honestly, you're good because these don't damage. You also get 2 every round and 2 every max ammo. So it's hard not to have some of these in your back pocket. These really shine though, specifically on Origins. Next up, above the Claymores, we have the EMP. Yes, I know these have a bad reputation, but solely by the fact that you can just stun an entire horde of zombies, and as long as you don't sprint past them, don't fire a bullet, on solo, go to the bathroom. That's right, go to the bathroom. Or if you and a friend have to go to the bathroom, EMP, both of you go to the bathroom. It's that easy. It's that easy. That alone puts these above all the other weapons below this. But you can also stop the bus if you need some extra time at a location. Yeah, Ted might get a little mad at you, but he'll survive. He'll survive. Sure, you're taking away his consciousness and his free will for a little bit. He'll understand. He'll understand. I wasn't sure if I should place it higher or lower because of this, but the amount of sheer rolling potential the EMPs have, unrivaled by any other weapon in COD Zombies history. Someone's about to go buy Jug, EMP it. Someone's spinning the mystery box, EMP it. Someone just put their ray gun in the pack punch, EMP it. Do it. Go on, do it. Next time you're playing Transit, I want you to get the EMPs from the box. Don't say anything. Don't tell a soul. Not one soul. Try your damnedest to help your friend open the pack punch machine. Show him where all the parts are. Build the pack punch. Show him how to open it, everything. Make sure he gets a good weapon from the box. A Galil, a ray gun, something like. Make sure it is the cream of the crop weapon. Let him pack a punch. Throw the EMP. Do it. I'm not asking. I'm telling you to do it. Go do it. Go do it. If you do it, I'll like your comment. I'm not kidding. I'll do it. Go on. So what if your friendship ends? You got a liked comment on YouTube. So what? It doesn't matter. You don't need friends. You got a liked comment on YouTube. Next up in 73rd place, we have the B-23R. The B-23R is available on every freaking map, and you can get this for 3 different prices. God knows why. It's either going to be 900, 750, or 1,000 points. This is just your go-to wall gun. Like right out of spawn, you buy this guy. The location you're probably thinking of is going to be the transit bus on the roof, but it has many other also very good locations. It's the equivalent of the RK5 in Black Ops 3. Not quite as good because you can't spawn with it if you get it with the super Easter egg, but it's almost exactly the same weapon. I think they have almost exactly the same stats too. For some perspective, okay, the Cap 40 does the same amount of damage as the B-23R. Literally almost exactly the same damage. Same headshot multiplier. This thing has more. This thing has slightly, ever so slightly less ammo, but buy ammo for it. That alone puts this thing leagues above the Cap 40. All my homies hate the Cap 40. Comment if you hate the Cap 40. I'm so tired of that gun. B-23R gang for life. I'm starting a new gang. You know what? I'm tired of M14 gang and Olympia gang. Tired of it. I'm straight up tired of it. Starting new gang war. B-23R versus Remington 870 gang. That is what I'm starting. Comment below. Are you Remington 870 gang or B-23R gang? Let me know in the comments. This is what's going to be the new discussion. B-23R or Remington 870 gang. I know I didn't talk about the weapon directly too much, but there's not much to say. It's a wall point weapon that is very cheap, very reliable. You can pack punch it, and it kind of sucks, but don't pack punch it. It's a point weapon. Don't pack punch it. You can double pack it and get a fast mag though. That's pretty cool. Next up, we have the B-23R Extended Mag that is exclusive to the Origins Mystery Box. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, this is from the Mystery Box. Why is it above the other one when it is a wall weapon? Well, you can buy ammo off the wall for it. This is a mystery box weapon that you can buy ammo off the wall for. And it comes with an extended mag. Gives it so much ammo if you pack punch it. It gives you a lot of ammo when it's not even pack punched. It gives you the same amount of ammo unpack punched that regular all by B-23R has when you pack punch it. 24 and 168. It is amazing. It's so many points. And when you buy ammo for it, it refills the extended mag amount, not the regular amount. Overall, incredible. And then when you pack punch it, has a ton of ammo. Don't know why you pack punch it, but you know, points. Like I said in the other video. Basically, it just goes above the other one because it's a mystery box weapon that you can buy ammo off the wall for.
At the number 71 spot is the S12. Now even though the S12 sucks, this gun will always hold a special place in my heart. I will never forget playing town for like 8 hours a day when I was 12 years old, trying to get past round 20 with either the hammer, the RPD, or the S12, depending on which one I got first from the box. Back in the day, I thought the S12 was pretty good, but going back to it now, I can assure you that is not the case. It sucks. It does fairly little damage, and it has no ammo. Like, for as little damage as the S12 does, it ought to have at least double the ammo, but for some reason it only has 40 shots total. And when you pack-a-punch it, it becomes a synthetic dozen, and that's a really cool name, but that's about the only good thing about the pack-a-punched S12. It does a little more damage now, but again, it still has basically no ammo, only having 50 shots in total. So even though, like I said, this gun will always hold a special place in my heart, it cannot go any higher than 71.
Next up, we have the Olympia, which is available on every map except Origins, unless you're Nikolai. If you're Nikolai, how did you get that? And where did you put it when the match started, bro? Anyway, the Olympia is a break-action shotgun that has 2 rounds in the mag with 38 reserve. When you pack-punch it, it has 2 in the mag. Why the fuck am I saying magazine? God, I'm so stupid. Anyway, when you pack-punch this, it gets a pretty decent damage buff. It does about 4 times more damage, but it has the same amount of pellets, and it gets cosmetic incendiary rounds, which are very cool. It does reload faster than the Black Ops 1 version, so it's better than it was in Black Ops 1, but it's still not good because it doesn't do more damage. And the main problem with the Olympia is that it kind of has shit damage. It has the same damage as all of the other Black Ops 1 shotguns, but the main problem in this game, besides the S12 actually does less damage than the Olympia does. Fun fact. All the other shotguns do more damage than this one does, except for one, which we will talk about very, very soon, but I think it's a little bit better. Barely, but it is a little bit better. Anyway, the Olympia is okay. It is okay. The most effective it has ever been is in the Origins cutscene. Next up, right after the Olympia, is the Remington 870 MCS. It does the same exact damage as the Olympia. Yes, I'm not kidding you. This is another Black Ops 1 situation where these two all-weapon shotguns just do the same amount of freaking damage. I don't know. The main pluses of the Remington is larger amount of bullets before you have to reload. You can reload a specific amount of bullets and then just fire without having to reload the whole tube. It has a lower rate of fire, but you can get a reflex sight on if that's your thing. If you're a reflex sight gang, leave a comment. You can also get this thing for free on Origin. Otherwise, it's going to be either 900, 1200, or 1500. I don't know why this has so many different prices, just like the B23R. This thing is like 3 different prices, plus you can dig it up. What were they smoking in this game? Also, unlike the Olympia, the Remington is available on every single map. Overall, it's just slightly better in every way except damage, so it's better than the Olympia. I will say though, the Olympia does have more swag. Next up, in 68th place, we have the Galvanoccles. These things, 1 hit kill until round 14. Yes, 14. And it's only 6,000 points. That's insane. It's also the fastest melee in the game. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. It gets the denizens off you in just 2 punches, as opposed to 6 with a regular knife or 3 with the Bowie knife. And on top of all this, it hard counters the Avogadro, the Electric Man, whatever you want to call him. Galvanoccles are just a great wall buy, especially on Buried, because I can get a lot of points early on, and then I can just grab them off the wall. Very easy to get all those points and just grab it and then be set and have tons of points for later. It's also good on transit, especially if you have money in the bank, you can just grab them. Overall, very solid melee weapon, very fun. I'm very glad they came back in Black Ops 4, but they are hurt by the fact that they're not on Mob or Origins. Oh my god, if the Galvanoccles were on Origins, that would be so cool, but also they would be kind of useless because you can get the 1-inch punch. I just like the Goblin. Okay, leave me alone.
The next weapon is the Chicom CQB, and the Chicom is one of my favorite guns of all time, and not necessarily in zombies because it's definitely a pea shooter. I feel like I'm using a squirt gun when shooting zombies, but the greatest thing about the Chicom is you literally get built-in stamina up. I am not joking. This thing has the fastest movement speed out of every single gun in Call of Duty Zombies. You run so fast, and when you combine it with stamina up, oh my gosh, you are flying through the map. It feels like you're going faster than the stamina up in the modifier slot in Black Ops 4. Like, it is so fun to use. Like, there have been multiple times where I've used this on like Die Rise, for example, and I'll just run around with it because it's fun, and that's it. Like, it's not gonna get you a lot of kills. It doesn't have a lot of ammo at all, but having a burst SMG is really cool in general, and also the movement speed is like the number one reason. So it's really easy to like do strafe jumps on like Die Rise, for example. Using it on different maps is just really fun. So I think the Chicom's awesome. I really do. I think it's like one of the most underrated guns in COD zombies in general, and it's just fun to use. So yeah.
Next up, we have the M8A1, the most forgettable weapon in the entire game. I almost forgot to put it on the list. And what's worse is the futuristic version of Black Ops 3 is just as forgettable. The M8A1 pack punches into the micro air raider. It can get a grenade launcher if you double pack punch it, like a lot of other future assault rifles in this game. It has really low damage. It does 150 damage when you pack punch it. That is less than the cap 40. However, it has 336 bullets in reserve, and it has a really high fire rate, even with its burst, so it serves as a really good point gun. Fun fact, the only assault rifle that does less damage than this is the SMR. Yeah, technically, this thing is identical to the M16, at least damage-wise, but the fact that it's only a box weapon, yeah, it has more ammo, but it's only a box weapon. You cannot buy ammo for it like you can for the M16, so it goes below it. Next up, we have the Type 25, another box-only assault rifle. This one is on Transit, Nuketown, Die Rise, and Origins. It pack punches into the Strain 25, does a whopping 10 more damage than the one we just talked about, and has less ammo. Main reason I put it above the other one is because it's full auto, more controllable, feels a lot better to use than the M8A1, even with its lower ammo count. So that's why I mainly put it above the other one, but it's not going any higher because there's wall assault rifles that are just better than it. Like, there's no point in using this at all unless you take it out, get some points with it, put it back. This is about where those weapons go. I know I didn't talk about this one very much, but it's very much same as what I said before, but it's fully auto. You can even get a grenade launcher just like the other one. Next up, we have the Barrett M82A1. This weapon, when you pack punch it, does a whopping 10,000 damage to the head, except, while that sounds impressive, the DSR does the same amount of damage. We'll talk about the DSR when we get there. Thing is epic. This one is not, because it's slower, except this thing has like no ammo. It literally basically has no ammo. It doesn't even have 50 shots when you pack punch it. It's not good. It's, yeah, you can fire it quickly, but it doesn't have the ammo to warrant its rate of fire. It's not that great. You're better off with literally any other sniper in this game, and that's why it falls so far, because it's just as available as any other sniper. So just don't even worry about picking this thing up. You don't need it. Don't use it. Sure, it feels nice to use, but just be honest with yourself. Is it practical? Is it more practical than any of the other sniper? No. That said, we have the sniper perma perk. Dear God, you're a menace. Take it out of the box. Get your sniper perma perk points. Put it back. Next up, we have the M16A1. This is a wall-by assault rifle that can get a grenade launcher when you pack punch it into the Skull Crusher. It does the same amount of damage as the M8A1 at 150 damage, 270 rounds in reserve with 30 in the mag when you pack punch it, and it has a full auto 937 RPM. As I said before, this is a wall gun with low damage, so it's good for points, but not so low that you're not going to be just not doing anything in the mid rounds. So it's reliable as a point gun when it's not pack punched, and when you pack punch it, it's good for mid rounds while you're setting up to get some other better weapons. Overall, reliable, good. Grenade launcher is pretty okay, actually. I think it's better in this game than it is in Black Ops 1 because the grenades just work a little differently and they don't stun you as easily. Overall, M16 is great. I just wish this thing was on Mob of the Dead because I feel like it'd be really good on Mob of the Dead. Same for Origins. I don't know why this thing isn't on Origins. It'd be good on Origins. Jason Blundell, what do you have against the M16, my guy? What is your problem?
All right, so we're going to start off with the MP5, and the MP5 in Black Ops 2 is great for a multitude of different reasons. First of all, whenever I play Mob of the Dead, I buy the MP5 on the cafeteria side every single time. It's a really good point weapon, so you can rack up points. It has a fairly good like maneuverability, I guess, so you can move a little bit faster, and also it's really good for filling the Cerberus dog as well, going to the different heads. And another really good thing on Mob of the Dead is not only is it located right in front of the cafeteria, but it's also located down in the power room as well. So if you need to get ammo because you run out, you can always buy more ammo for 500 points. 1,000 points for a weapon is really useful. It's cheap, it's efficient, and it's just a really good gun in general. It can kill Brutus fairly quickly as well. And also on like Nuketown, for example, you can buy it off the wall upstairs in the greenhouse, which I usually end up doing anyways because I want a decent gun. And also, if you need a gun when you're going through the witch's house on Buried, you can buy it right off the wall before you go inside the witch's house, which is like, it's a wall buy on the witch's house outside, which is pretty cool. But overall, the MP5 is a really good gun. You can also buy it in the Icicle area on Transit as well. I forgot to mention that. So that's cool too. But overall, the MP5 is great, really good for maneuverability, and it's a really good point weapon overall. those are my two guns. Thanks for having me included in your video.
Next up, we have the M1216, otherwise known as the thing that you dig up on Origins on round 3 and say, okay, fine, I guess I'll take this, and then you die because you forgot how the magazine. This thing is technically automatic, but it has chambers in its magazine that are 4 or 6 when you pack punch it into the mesmerizer. This thing does about 4,000 damage. It does 975 damage with 4 pellets. It has a pretty high fire rate and pretty okay ammo, but like I said, that rechambering thing that you do with it just makes it kind of feel kind of clunky. I don't know if that's just me. It's a skill issue thing. I don't like using this thing. It could go higher, but the fact that it's so impractical to use sometimes, it just feels so clunky. Knocked it down a few spots. I don't like this thing at all, but I can't ignore that it has good ammo, good damage, and you can dig it up. So overall, it's okay. It's fine. It's good to meh, depending on your situation. Next up, we have the PDW-57, otherwise known as Points. This thing is basically the Weevil from Black Ops 3, except, you know, better. Because, yeah, you can get it from the box, but it's also a wall buy on Buried and Tyra, and that is where this thing is good. Yeah, it only does 175 damage, but the amount of ammo that this thing has, oh my god, Point City, Point Central. You're getting so many freaking points with this thing. Pick it up. It's a great wall gun, especially like early rounds on Buried. If you don't want to get the Galvanuckles, get this guy. If you don't want to go for the immediate setup and get the other 2 incredibly OP wall guns, you just want points, grab this guy. This thing is so helpful. I really like getting it on die rise as well. The wall buy spot is kind of in an iffy place, but oh well. Overall, PDW, pretty solid, pretty solid. Overall, PDW, pretty solid. Next up, we have the M14, which pack punches into the Amnesia. Much like I said in the Black Ops 1 video, this is just the FAL, but worse and on the wall. I think it's kind of added to be a little bit more bad in this game, just because the zombies are a little bit more aggressive. You don't have as much time to line up your headshots unless you're playing on easy or something like that. Also, if you play on easy, huge W, you probably have a job. Overall, outclassed by pretty much any other wall gun, except the Olympia, because, you know, it's the Olympia. It's okay for early round points, and it just doesn't fill a great spot in this game, but it's still good. So if you like the M14, it's just as good as you remember it, but it doesn't have a niche in this game that's not filled by something else. Right above the M14, much like in Black Ops 1, we have the FAL. This, as I said, the M14 is the FAL on the wall. This is the M14 in the box. It does more damage than the M14, only slightly. It also has much more ammo to counteract it being in the box, but it's also a burst weapon, whereas the M14 stays semi-auto when you pack punch it, which I think adds to this thing's good feel in the mid rounds, where the burst is actually useful. In early rounds, it's just going to be a waste of ammo, but in mid rounds, very solid. Much like the FAL, or much like I said for the M14, this just doesn't really have a good spot to fill because the snipers in this game are so good, except for the Barrett, that you don't want to do a middle ground between assault rifles and snipers in this game like you did with Black Ops 1, because the snipers in this game are actually good and the assault rifles are some of the best in zombies history. So just kind of playing the middle ground with this, it just doesn't work in this game as much as it does in other games. So the FAL kind of pulls up a little low in this ranking at 58. Next up, in 57th place, we have the 5.7, which pack punches into the Ultra. The single 5.7 does exactly the same damage as the dual-wield one, but it technically comes with more ammo. I'll explain a little more when I go to the dual-wield version, because it's easier to explain there. But one thing I do like about the 5.7 is you get 110% mobility, which is very nice, and you don't get it with both the dual-wield version, which I kind of wish you did, but oh well. The main trade-off here that is the same as the CZ75s is, you know what, I'm just going to rank these back-to-back. In the place above this, we have the 5.7 dual wield or the Ultra and Violent. Basically, do you want reliable headshots or do you want bullet hose? Except the 5.7 dual wield doesn't have enough ammo to support it being a bullet hose. That said, it still is a bullet hose. You're going to be doing tons of damage with this thing, especially since it has a pretty good hip fire accuracy, tons of points, great damage if you pack punch it. It's so good. It's so good. I think the 5.7 dual wield is slightly better than the regular one because yeah, you can get the reliable headshots with just the single one. Just the sheer points you can get from the dual wield one, I think knocks it above the other. Even if the regular 5.7 is a wall gun on Origin, I'd still rather get the dual wield 5.7s. Next up, in 55th place, we have the RPG, which pack-a-punches into the rocket-propelled Grievance. Best pack-a-punch name in history, right there. That is incredible. Whoever came up with that, I will buy you a beer. I'm not kidding. That is the best pack-a-punch name in history. Rocket-propelled Grievance. Genius. Genius. When you pack-a-punch this into a rocket-propelled Grievance, it does 1200 impact damage and 600 splash, so it does about 1800 damage. It's also fully automatic, much like the RPG in Black Ops 1, and it holds 48 rounds total. It also gets high mobility, which means this thing is actually fun to use. And on Buried, if you get the perma perk, you can just spam this thing. It's a get out of jail free card on most rounds. It's really good. Kind of underrated. Almost as good as it is in Black Ops 1, because in Black Ops 1 you have PhD more readily available, and in this game it's not on Origins because Blundell hates fun and PhD for some reason. Overall, very solid, but I can't lie and say that besides saving you from a corner, this thing just ranks high because it's fun to use and it's oddly more effective than you think it would be. Next up, we have our next buildable. We have the Head Chopper from Buried. This has kind of a similar issue that the turret has from Transit, except it does kill more reliably than that one, and it doesn't require a turbine. It's great to help you in camping, and if you need to get out of your camping spot, you crouch below it. It's not gonna guaranteed just, chop you in half. It's really good. It's really cool. I really like building this thing. It's really fun, and I think this thing is a little bit underrated. Honestly, it's great to have as a backup if your Resonator just breaks, or if your Trample Steam is out of steam. Great to have as a backup, just something to like hide under or hide behind if you need to reload. Overall, super underrated. Belongs in 54th because it's not fantastic, but it's still pretty okay. It's still pretty good. Next up, in 53rd place, we have the first LMG on this list. We have the RPD, which pack punches not into the Raccoon City Police Department. We have the Relativistic Punishment Device, which is another incredible name. This thing has very shitty damage, but it has 750 reserve and when you pack punch it. That's crazy. This thing is points city if you get it on Nuketown or Die Rise. Totally pick this up, especially on like early/middle rounds, just to get some free freaking tons and tons of points. Sure, you're gonna have lower movement speed, but it's gonna have reliable enough damage that you can still camp with it, get your points, but still be doing decent enough damage to actually survive camping. By far the worst LMG. It's on par with the Black Ops 1 LMGs as far as damage goes, which just kind of shows how OP the rest of the LMGs are in this game. So if you look at where the HK was on my previous list, that's where the RPD is as far as power level. So the Black Ops 1 weapons just kind of skew worse than the Black Ops 2 weapons, because I believe that was in the 20s. The HK was in the 20s on my Black Ops 1 weapon ranking. Go watch it if you haven't watched it. It's pretty good. Just to kind of get an idea of where the power level is on this list here, we're literally only at number 53, and we've already caught up with the 20s in Black Ops 1. That's crazy. Next up, in 52nd place, we have the MTAR, which is another weapon that I almost forgot to put on the list because I literally forgot it was in the game. This pack-a-punches into the Malevolent Taxonomic Anodized Redeemer, which are certainly words that are strung together into a title, that is for sure. It does pretty okay damage, and it has pretty good ammo. You can get a grenade launcher when you pack-a-punch it, but it is a box assault rifle, so it is wholly eclipsed by the OP box assault rifles that you have an equal chance of getting, which knocks it down quite a bit. Yeah, it's good if you get it, but just go get one of the better assault rifles. Like, what the fuck do you need this for? Like, it's not bad, but it's so completely wholly outclassed by other weapons. You just don't need it. And that's why it kind of falls in this spot of being mediocre, because you just don't need it. Next up, in 51st place, kind of an underrated weapon, it's going to be the Ballista. Ballista pack-a-punches into the Infused Arbalest, which is another great pack-a-punch name. You can repack-a-punch it to give it an ACOG sight or an iron sight, which is very, very nice. It only does 400 damage, but it has the Sniper 10x headshot multiplier for 4,000 damage. So it's pretty freaking good. You can also get this for free if you dig it up, which means you just have to throw it in the pack-punch, and you have a pretty solid weapon into the 20. I know I should have probably said this at the beginning of the video, but it does affect rankings if something cannot get double tap, like say the ray gun or the boom hilder or something like that. It does affect their rankings, because if they could get double tap, they'd be higher. Same thing for like the RPG or the War Machine. Those can't get double tap, so it affects their damage and it kind of leaves them behind the pack a little bit. But the Ballista with double tap, 8,000 damage, easy into the 30s. You're still headshotting. It has a ton of ammo, and it's cheap ammo because of the wall gun. So you can also dig up ammo and just get ammo free, which is awesome. So the Ballista is super underrated. good. Very good on Origins, like when you're running through the trenches, because you can kill like 3-4 zombies right in a row. So good. Can't get the sniper perma perk on it though, so it does lag behind the other ones in damage and in amount of points you can get. Next up in 50th place, cracking the top 5th, we have the bus. The fucking bus. I know. What are you? I know what you're thinking. Why did you put the bus on this list? Well, it got in on a technicality because I said I'd include buildables that are integral to map traversal and can kill things. This is both. You can kill things with the bus by running them over with the scoop at the front. It's integral to map traversal, and you can camp on the bus, and you can add buildable pieces to it with the scoop, the ladder on the inside and the outside. It gets in on technicality, and it makes transit sometimes more bearable, and it's really fun to camp on the bus. And Ted is awesome, but also the bus kind of sucks. So it goes in 50 because I'd rather be on the bus than like have just a head chopper, for example, or like just be running around transit with the 5.7. I'd rather be on the bus with kind of a bad weapon because I know I can hold out at least on lower rounds, and it helps me get from place to place. Bus is reliable, bus is good, not great, not by any means, but the bus is reliable. You know where the bus is if you have good map presence for transit. Next up, in 49th place, we have the KSG. KSG is a pump-action shotgun that can pack a punch into the Mistmaker. It does 4,000 damage per shot, and it has a little over 100 ammo in total. It reloads 2 shells per shell, if that makes sense. When you pack punch it, it can also get a reflex sight, which is really cool. You can dig this up if you have the golden shovel, by the way, which is incredibly awesome. It's rare, but it can happen. The main reason this gun suffers is honestly the slow reload, and the damage just doesn't keep up higher round. And that on top of how fast you're going to eat through ammo, it just has all the same issues that the S12 does, but it does way more damage, so it's not nearly as bad. It also has more ammo, but it still runs into those same problems of just being a really efficient shotgun without ammo back it up. So that's why the KSG kind of falls a little short, even if it is incredibly fun to use. Next up, we have the one and only Golden Spork from Mob of the Dead. I know what you're thinking. Why is the Golden Spork on here? Because it's a weapon, okay? It's a weapon, and it's a weapon that does 10,000 damage, meaning it's a one-hit kill around 33. That's incredible, okay? That's unheard of from melee weapons up until this point. The Golden Spork set a new trend. Good melee weapons, first, and it's cool as hell. It fits into the map's lore so incredibly well. It's fun to use. Grade path, unlike Black Ops 4, is really fun to get. So overall, pretty easy to get, so you might as well just get it every time you play the map, and you have a free just get out of jail free card with your knife if one zombie's in your way and you don't want to waste ammo. It's really good, really fun, but I can't rank it higher just because, you know, it's a melee weapon. It doesn't have any sort of area of effect damage. It's just like knife one zombie, so it goes in 48th place. In 47th place, we have the first really good assault rifle in this game in the form of the AK-47, which pack punches into the Reisnov's Revenge. While it does have good damage, let me put this into perspective for you. It does 30 more damage than the pack punch to Galil. Okay, sure, I'll acknowledge that. But he's going to chew through ammo faster than a 4-year-old kid is going to chew through a Mr. Beast chocolate bar. The ammo is just gone immediately, and it's a box weapon. So while I acknowledge that it has way more damage than any of the other box assault rifles that we've talked about so far, ammo count cannot be ignored, and it knocks this thing down so low, because holy crap does this thing absolutely decimate its ammo count so fast. And it's made worse by the fact that this thing is so effective, so you're going to be using it a lot. So if this thing is an ammo muncher, this thing is a ticket muncher from Chuck E. Cheese when it comes to ammo. That's why it doesn't rank any higher than I want to rank it. I want to rank this thing a lot higher because I love this thing. It's so cool on Mob of the Dead. That ammo problem is serious with this thing. Right above the AK-47, we're going to talk about these two back-to-back. With the AK-74U and the AK-74U extended mag that is exclusive to Origins. Both of these pack a punch into the AK-74 FU2. The one with the extended mag has 300 ammo when you pack a punch it, and the one with the regular mag has 280, but they have 40 and 50 in the mag depending on if you have the extended mag. Otherwise, they are identical, and the extended mag version can have ammo bought off the wall. The AK-74U is just as good as it was in Black Ops 1. I don't know why people don't talk about or use this thing more often. Sure, the MP40 MP40 is right there, but this thing is just as good as the MP40, and it has more ammo. I don't know why people don't use this. It even has a higher fire rate than the MP40. Sure, the MP40 might have more swag. That's probably why people pick it up. But this thing is statistically just as good, and it has a higher fire rate without it being so high that it's ridiculous. This thing is hardcore slept on. I don't know why people don't really use this in Black Ops 2. It's really good. It's just as good as it was in Black Ops 1. Go use it. Go use it. Next up, in 44th place, we have the Turbine. I know what you're thinking, why is the Turbine, of all things, the Turbine, above all of these weapons that actually do damage? Why is it above all of these actual guns? And it's because the Turbine, 1, powers a top 5 weapon in the game, spoiler alert, 2, can buy perks, buy secret doors without the power up perks. You can counter the EMP with this. You can power multiple really good buildables. You can turn on Pack-a-Punch. You don't have the power on. This thing, especially on transit, is so handy. And you don't want to mess around with the bus or take the linear path in transit. Put your Turbine on the street light right outside of spawn. Wait it down and below it. Teleport wherever you want. And you just spawned 30 seconds ago. Turbine is so useful. It's so incredible. It's so integral to Transit's gameplay loop. So integral to the high round strat on Buried. I couldn't place this lower. There was no way I was placing the Turbine any lower than this thing. This thing is so handy. I would genuinely prefer to have this thing more than any of the other buildables I've talked about already. Because it's just that good. It's that useful. So it goes in 44th place. In 43rd place, we have the M1927, otherwise known as the Speakeasy. This is only on Mob of the Dead and Origins, meaning it is Blundel's love child that he had in secret behind Jimmy Zielinski's back. This thing has a ton of ammo, really high fire rate. That damage, oh my god. Dude, this thing does less damage than the AK-74U and the MP40. So why is it higher? I can't not put it higher than the AK-74U because of the ammo count. I can't put it higher than the MP40, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the MP. But this thing is very good on Mob. It's a little pricey, but the amount of ammo that it comes with, I understand. It's solid, but there's many other wall guns, especially on Mob, that are just better. And on Origins, it's a box-only weapon, so the high ammo count is nice that it's a box-only weapon, but it's still not super great there because of the fact that it's a box weapon. So while it is good, I can't in good conscience put it any higher because of its kind of mediocre damage. Next up in the middle of the list at number 42, the most important number in the universe, we have the Thrustodyne Aeronautics Model 23, aka the Jet Gun, aka Liberty Balls cameo. I put this exactly in the middle of the list. Do you know why that is? Sure, technically, it could be number 1 in the list because it's an infinite ammo wonder weapon. Sure, technically be in last place because it will break in 10 seconds. Both of these reasons are exactly why it is exactly in the middle of the list, because while it can take you to high rounds, this thing takes more learning and practice than any other wonder weapon in COD Zombies history, and that includes the Ripsaw from the Darkest Shore in World War II Zombies. I despise that. Oh my god, that's completely unrelated. The Jet Gun, on paper, is incredible. Infinite ammo sucks up power-ups for you. It's free, you just have to build it, but in your hands, this thing is a ticking time bomb unless you are Lucario Project. You're not going to know how to use it unless you literally have a licensed jet gun wielder like Lucario Project to teach you how to use it. You're not going to learn how to use it on your own. The gauges are kind of not very clear. It can be helped by the fact that if you teleport with this, you get a percentage meter where the ammo count is that tells you how close it is to overheating. That's a good way to help figure out how to use this thing, but it's slow, it's clunky, it's going to explode. So it's just mid. It is the definition of mid, because yes, it could be perfect, be trash, all depends on your skill. You watching this video, eating popcorn and drinking a Diet Pepsi. Yes, you. Depends on your skill. Are you drinking Diet Pepsi? Next up, we're going to talk about these two back to back because they're almost exactly the same. In 41st place, we have the MP40. And in 40th place, we have the MP40 adjustable stock exclusive to the box on Origins. Both of these weapons are Origins exclusive. Reason that I put them higher than the AK-74U despite ranting, raving, and jerking that thing off, because this thing has so many wall buy spots. It has one in every single part of the map. You will always be able to get ammo for this thing. Get it, ammo for it over by Gen 4. You can get ammo for it right by the mound, right when you leave the trenches, and you can get ammo for it right by the tank station. There's 3 incredibly useful wall buy spots, all in very central location. I can't ignore that. And then the MP40 adjustable stock version helps you just with the maneuverability of the weapon, and you can still buy ammo off the wall for it, which is why it goes a spot above. Overall, MP40, I cannot deny it's really good for this map. I do want to squash a little bit of a rumor about this thing. It does not have a damage buff from Black Ops 1. It only has an ammo buff. I think you just never pack-a-punch this thing in Black Ops 1, so you're not used to actually how good it is. That's the main reason it sucks in Black Ops 1 is the ammo count, which they buffed massively when you pack-a-punch it in this game. Thank you, Blundell, for that. You're a top G. Just, I wish this thing was reload cancelable. It hurts my soul that you can't reload cancel this thing. I know you're gonna call me a freaking Warzone pleb because I can't pack-a-punch this thing. One, I barely play Warzone, so fuck you. Two, just like reload canceling, I think it's satisfying. But yeah, these things up into the 40th and 41st spot. In 39th place, we have the 1-inch punch and the iron fists. These do 2,500 and 12,000 damage respectively, meaning this thing is either a one-hit kill until like the mid-teens, up until about round 36 if you upgrade them. The main reason these aren't higher is because by the time you get them, you don't need them anymore. I think the weaker ones need a damage buff. They need to go up to like 5,000 or something because they're just not good past the teens, and the only way to make them actually useful long term is to do the Easter egg. Who wants to just do the Easter egg every time they boot up Origins? Not me. God, no. No, thank you. I like Origins, I like the Easter egg, but no, thank you. I'm not doing all the stabs every time I play this game. I really think just the regular 1-inch punch just needed a damage buff. Just that one little change would knock this up about 10 spots. By the time, at least by the time I always get it, it's useful for like 2 rounds. Now I'm like, okay, oh well, I guess. It is also wholly eclipsed by a super secret feature, and if you know, you know, but we'll talk about that later. Next up in 38th place, yes, I know I sound insane for putting this above the 1-inch punch, but hear me out, the Trample Steam. This is a buildable on Die Rise and Buried, and while it's not as useful on Buried, it is still useful on Buried. You just gotta know where to place it, and you can get around without the paralyzer very, very easily. It's very fun. But on Die Rise especially, oh my god, does this thing help with map flow. Oh my god, does it help with camping. It's so helpful, so fun to use. And while this thing is active, zombies will not get past it. It's really helpful and really reliable, and you can learn the timing of it for when you have to move or use your window weapon or whatever. Very good. Great as a backup just to keep if you're camping. Very incredible for map traversal and map flow. So good. Goes at 38 easily. I love this thing, and you can get it pretty much out the gate on both maps.
Alright, so at the number 37 spot is one of the most underrated sniper rifles in COD Zombies history. Also, hi by the way, hope you're all having a fantastic day. But the DSR-50, I didn't appreciate this gun until I tried doing a snipers only challenge on Origins. The headshot damage capability that this has is absurd. I'm pretty sure I was one-shotting Panzers into the mid-30s, early round 40s. And you know, I completely understand why it can't be any higher than 37 because snipers in general just aren't that useful, especially bolt action ones. Just for your general gameplay of zombies, it's almost always better to have, you know, like a shotgun that you can spam or a full auto gun that is just more reliable. But there are some very fun niche situations where the DSR can be an extremely powerful weapon, so definitely don't sleep on it. Especially on a map like Origins with mini-boss zombies where they have so much health, but you can still find ways to take them down without just spraying all of your ammo, essentially.
Next up in 36, I know he is technically not a weapon, but those hands might need to be registered under the US Lethal Weapon Registry because holy crap, this guy can throw hands if you give him some candy. Just grab some stale candy from old as hell candy store. He does not care that it's stale. You get sugar in this guy's body, he's gonna go into like a diabetes rage and he's gonna absolutely decimate some zombies. He's gonna cover your ass. Leroy is your best friend. He opens the map for you. He's helpful in taking out zombies. He does not cost money to maintain once the map is open. You can optionally speedrun opening the map by giving him booze, which costs 1,000 points like per booze. You also free booze per round, basically. Leroy is incredible. You can open up the map without spending any points, and this is completely off topic, but a common criticism of Buried is that you need Leroy to open the map and it's tedious. You do not need Leroy to open this map. You can open almost the entire map except for the Witch's House and Jug without touching any of Leroy's breakable barrier. Even then, you can just play it like a regular regular survival map without these. And if you want to play the whole map, break 2 things. Break the Witch's barrier, break the Juggernaut barrier. You're done. Don't have to touch Leroy ever again if you don't want to, but he's there to help you open the entire map for free if you would like to. He helps you take down zombies, he can nail down the box. Pretty sure you can hold a zombie as well. Leroy he's your best buddy. And I know someone in the comments is going to go, technically his name's Arthur. I don't care. I'm going to be honest. I don't care. He's Leroy. I've known him as Leroy since 2012, and he's not a real person, so he won't get offended. I still call him Leroy. Next up, right above Leroy, we have the ray gun. OG classic ray gun, not the ray gun Mark II. We'll talk about that one later. The ray gun in this game is not quite as good as it was in Black Ops 1, but it's still incredibly fun and incredibly useful. Dear God, I wish you could double tap on this thing. Why can't you put double tap on it? I have no idea. Fair. Why? Let me use double tap in the ray gun. Also bring back double tap, please. With how narrow most of Black Ops 2 is, this thing it's good, but the lack of PhD really shows. This thing shines best in Origins, and with the ray gun Mark II and the stabs, it's really nice in the trenches with PhD. You can just mow through everything. Also, this thing has a different design on Buried and Origins than it does on the other maps. In the maps that I didn't just mention, it has like a white color on the window on the top, but on Buried and Origins, it has a green color, which is really cool. Also, I think this is my favorite actual model for the ray gun, the Buried and Origins one. This thing just looks so good. I love it. I love it more than the Black Ops 3 one, actually. Overall, ray gun is good, reliable as always, just doesn't quite fit the maps as well, and it doesn't have a lot of the utilities that it has in Black Ops 3, so it just kind of falls down a little bit. In 34th place, we have the Hammer. Yeah, we're getting back into the LMGs. This is going to be LMG City for a little bit. The Hammer has so much ammo, really great rate of fire, does really good damage. This thing does 250 damage a shot. How fast its rate of fire is, especially for those first like 7 rounds, I believe, you're going to be just laying down damage. This thing used to be absolutely cracked, but they patched it early on in the game's life cycle. This thing would have been like top 10 weapons easy, but you know, Treyarch is going to Treyarch, I guess. One thing I do want to note is that Unpack-a-Punched, I swear, a couple other people I've seen notice this. I've seen a couple Reddit posts about it, and there's a YouTuber called EasyP40 who also ranked the Black Ops 2 weapons that noticed this as well. But the Hammer has a higher headshot multiplier on Buried and Origins when it's not Pack-a-Punch. It's the same when it's Pack-a-Punched on all the maps that it's on, but specifically on Buried and Origins, when it's not Pack-a-Punched, it's better than when it's not Pack-a-Punched on the first 3 maps it's on. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just all of us just kind of feeling like it's better for no reason. But I swear it's true. Like, the body damage is the same. I swear that on Buried and Origins it does more headshot damage. Could be wrong. Take that with a grain of salt, but I swear it's true. I swear. Overall, this thing is really solid, really good, really fast reload too, which is nice. And just, it's really fun to use. And it has a cool Pack-a-Punch name, the Sledgehammer. Next up, we have the Death Machine, going from a weapon that is on every map except Mob to a weapon that is only on Mob. The Death Machine, which Pack-a-Punches into the Meat Grinder. This thing has 1,100 bullets, a 1,200 RPM, 1,450 damage per bullet, with a 3x headshot multiplier. But good freaking luck getting headshots with this thing. This is the go-to camping weapon on Mob. Just go in the tunnel by where Jug is. Don't open the cell door behind you to Jug, but just camp there. That's easy fun. That's tons of fun. Go do it. It's really fun. I don't recommend training with this thing at all. You will die, but it is tons of fun camping. Well, people can get this too, so a bunch of people can just be camping with the Meat Grinder. One person has the Acid Gat to get the zombies off you. Tons of fun. You can go to super high rounds, but the lack of movement speed just knocks this thing down a little bit. Goes in 33rd place. In 32nd place, we have the LSAT, which is buyable off the wall and buried. If you know, you know. That said, it is also on Nuketown and Mob of the Dead, and it is great on those maps as well. The main thing about the LSAT that makes it incredible is the amount of ammo it has. This thing has 7,000 rounds. Sure, it's a little expensive off the wall, but for that amount of ammo, totally worth it. It's so worth it. I really recommend getting this thing off the wall if you like LMGs in general on buried. Can't go wrong. One thing I do like about the Pack-a-Punch name that I didn't get for an embarrassingly long time is that they're anagrams for last and first. Yep, when I was little, I just called this the F shirt, and I didn't know I was called that. But I was a stupid child. I was a dumb child. Next up, we have the MG0815, which Pack-a-Punches into the Magna Collider. There is a select group of people that claim the Magna Collider and the LSAT are statistically the same, and I'm here to tell you that those people are filthy, dirty, disgusting, smelly liars. Or they've been misinformed and should not be seen in any negative way. Either one. Could be either or, really. The Magna Collider has, yes, the Magnet Collider does the same exact damage, but instead of having a 3x headshot multiplier like the LSAT does, it has a 5x headshot multiplier, meaning this thing is doing 1,250 damage per bullet. And those bullets ricochet off of surfaces, and when they ricochet, they do not lose bullet potency. And this is after the bullet has gone through a zombie. It can hit something else and reflect off of that surface. This thing is incredible. It's so good. And on top of all of this, you can get a free Pack-a-Punch version with Maxis by just collecting all the little discs around the map. Easy, takes a few minutes. Incredible. It's so good. I honestly would have ranked this weapon a little higher, but I think all the weapons above this just live in a different class. Like, this thing is good, it's solid, but the movement speed knocks it down a little bit, and in higher rounds it just doesn't quite have the damage output to keep up. It's good, but it's limited by the fact that you can't buy ammo for it and its damage. Next up, right above the M08, we have the Time Bomb. This weapon does no damage, but it allows you to manipulate time. I mean, come on, what do you want me to say? You get a perk you don't like from the witches? Go back in time. You go down and lose all your stuff? Go back in time. Incredible. It's the most unique equipment / wonder weapon in zombies history, in my opinion. This thing is so underrated. I really think if this thing came back, it would be awesome. I don't know under what circumstance they would bring it back. Maybe it'll be a secret extra thing in Liberty Balls, but who knows? Since they're bringing the buried church back, they could bring back the Time Bomb. I don't know, just spitballing. I just want this thing to come back. It's really cool. Not much more to say about it. Any situation where you think, oh man, if only I could go back and change this about my game, you just do it. You can just go do it. So yeah, Time Bomb cracks the top 30.
At number 29, we have the STG. The STG is honestly pretty mid in terms of damage, but what it lacks in damage, it makes up for in ease of access. The STG is kind of like the guy at work who does exactly what's expected of him. He isn't some superhero who constantly goes above and beyond, but he isn't a slacker either. He's reliable, he almost never calls off, and you know that when he's there, he's going to be holding it down and getting stuff done. It has a decent amount of ammo, with 30 in a mag and 210 in reserve, and you'll have plenty of opportunities to buy more, considering it has 3 different wall buy locations. There's one on the top floor of the church, one under the Pack-a-Punch, and one in the crazy place. So if you're doing the Easter egg, or even just building stabs, you'll always have an STG close by. When upgraded, it becomes the Spats 447 Plus, which is actually pretty cool because that's what it was originally called back in World at War as well. It gets a 60 round mag, but only 330 in reserve. It's not terribly low, but most of the other ARs do get more than that. Personally, I would never throw the STG in the Pack-a-Punch. The only time I ever really use the upgraded version is if I get it out of the 115 headshots challenge.
Hey everyone, I'm back. It's been a minute since you heard from me, but I had to come back and talk about the greatness that is the number 28 spot, the Scorpion Evo. This gun is a monster. It can deal up to 110 damage per shot and having an insanely fast fire rate, with it being able to fire 1,250 rounds per minute. And on top of this, it has really good mobility too. And when it's Pack-a-Punched, it gets even better. Now becoming the evolved Deathstalker, it can deal up to 210 damage per shot, and it has the same insane fire rate as before. This thing shreds through zombies. It is so good. But with saying that, it unfortunately does have 2 pretty big issues, which puts it at the number 28 spot. Number 1 is the ammo. It only has 288 bullets on Pack-a-Punched and 360 Pack-a-Punched. And since this thing fires so fast, you'll be running out of ammo and constantly be trying to get max ammos in the mid to late 20s. And the second is that this gun is only on Origins. And I don't know if you're aware or not, but there are 4 really good weapons on Origins that every player in the game can get. You know, the staffs. So why would you bother trying to get this thing out of the box when you can just use one of the 4 staffs? And it doesn't help that there are 25 other guns in the box on Origins, so your odds of getting it to begin with are pretty low. Overall though, it's a pretty good gun that I pick up from the box if I just so happen to get it, but I'm just not going to go out of my way for it.
Hello, I am back, and I'm here to talk about Monkey. The Monkey Bomb is incredible in Black Ops 2, except for the fact, I don't know if it's just me, I don't know if it's a skill issue, or if it's an issue with the game engine or what, but I swear sometimes Monkey Bombs just work so slowly and just get you killed. And honestly, that's why they don't go higher. They would probably be up in like 20s, like 21 to 25, if they didn't kill me half the time I throw them. I don't know if it's just a skill issue on my end throwing them too late, but sometimes I swear they just do not work as fast as they do in Black Ops 1. This issue is made worse in future Zombies games. I don't know what the problem is, but this was the beginning of the end for the Monkey Bomb, so I'm knocking it down a spot. Because holy crap, this thing is annoying to use sometimes. I know I've just been raging about the Monkey Bomb. It's still good, just not as good as it was in Black Ops 1. In 26th place, we have the G-Strikes. You do a very short, very abusable quest to get the G-Strikes. From the little water fountain, you play Flora's Lava with the mud, and you got your G-Strikes. And they're really good. They don't work indoors, but they still attract zombies, which honestly sometimes is what you want because you want the zombies off your back, but you don't want to lose your zombies. So they work really well. And as long as you have a good grasp on the map layout, they're very helpful. One thing that I do like about these is that when you throw it, if there's a robot on the map, you can actually look at the robot and see the rockets fly out of the back of the robot. Such a cool little piece of world building that I really like about the G-Strikes. It's just so cool. And they're just really a good tie-in for world building and just map design that I really love. Like, the way you get them kind of doesn't make sense with the world building unless I'm missing some like little bit of lore. These things are just so cool. They're way more reliable than the monkey bombs. I don't have any of those like zombies being slow to react to the monkey bomb problems with the G-Strike. I don't know if they did it like that on purpose to get me to use the G-Strikes. If so, Blundell, hope you accidentally gargle sand. This is a joke. Blundell, you're a cool guy. Yeah, G-Strikes are awesome. It's the same, you can only carry 2, but they're really cool and they're really effective.
At the number 25 spot, we got the M27. One of the coolest guns ever to only be on one map. It does up to 150 damage per bullet with a 4 times multiplier. It has pretty good ammo, having 270 shots total, and it can shoot 750 rounds per minute. And this isn't really going towards the ranking, but I gotta roll a clip real quick of the M27 firing. Beautiful. Where was I? Oh yeah, that's right. When you pack-a-punch it, it gets one of the coolest pack-a-punch names ever, the Mystifier. It now deals up to 220 damage per bullet with a 5 times headshot multiplier. It also gets a slight ammo boost, now having 360 shots total. It's a real shame that this gun isn't on the other BO2 maps, because only being available on Nuketown Zombies of all maps drags it down so much.
In 24th place, we have the M1911 or the Mustang and Sally's. These things are basically identical to their Black Ops 1 counterpart, except there's no PhD in this game, and all the weapons are better. So you don't really need these, basically at all. They're useful on some maps, like on Transit. They are very useful for the high round strat. I know that for a fact. But besides, like, Buried, where you can get them really early on, they're just not that good. They're not nearly as useful as they were in Black Ops 1 because PhD is missing. And they were a little bit overrated in Black Ops 1. I'm glad people don't talk about them as much in this game because they're actually properly rated now. So yeah, M1911 comes in at 24th place because while it is still pretty okay, pretty good, and will save you if you have PhD and stuff like that, it's really only shines on Buried and Transit if you're doing the high round strat. In 23rd place, cracking the amazing weapons. From here, everything is great. Literally everything is incredible. We're talking about the Maxis Drone. This guy is what the transit turret wishes he was. Maxis can revive you in solo. He will cover your ass. He has a very sad monologue when you build it. It's such a cool little piece of world building as well. I have no idea what happened to Maxis after this, but I feel bad for him. Maxis Drone is just so cool, and just even in co-op, you can kind of take the heat of the zombies while the Maxis Drone revives your friend. This thing is just so good. It has so much utility, and it's so incredibly fun to use. It's just great as a backup. Can't go wrong with the Maxis Drone. It goes to 23rd place. This thing is great.
Yo, how's it going, everyone? It is B-Rad The Man, and we are going to be talking about the next gun on our list, which is the Uzi. One of the most unique weapons in Call of Duty Zombies history. Not only does it fit the theme of Mob of the Dead, it has only appeared in zombies in this map alone. Unless you want to count it being in Modern Warfare 3 zombies, but let's not talk about that pile of shit. The Uzi is one of one. A unique weapon to a unique map. Becoming an exclusive weapon like the AK-47, or the Death Machine, or the Scar H from Origin. Now, sadly, it does get overlooked as a secondary SMG within the map, with many quickly running to the Tommy gun or the MP5. But don't overlook this gun, because this is one of the more powerful weapons in the game, with a high rate of fire and mobility, and with 60 damage to the body and 100 to the head, it's a pretty powerful starting weapon right there. And when you upgrade it to the Uncle Gal, which is honestly one of the best pack-punch names, may I add, the body damage also increases to 80 and more than doubles in the head at 230 damage per bullet. Now sure, the gun isn't at a favorable price, which costs 1500 points off the wall, and it doesn't carry the largest amount of ammo with 25 bullets in the mag and 275 in reserve, and it only adds 25 more bullets when packed, but the convenience more than makes up for it with locations near the rooftop, warden's office, and in the tunnels near the docks. So if you're ever in need of ammo, you don't have to run all the way across the map. So, with its high damage, high mobility, and its availability, I would say that this is a weapon that many more people should run with in this masterpiece of a map, and can definitely say it earned its spot on the list.
I'm going to talk about these two back to back. In 21st is the Python, and in 20th is the Remington New Model Army. The Python pack punches into the Cobra, and the Remington New Model Army pack punches into the Sassafras. They are statistically identical, except the Remington New Model Army has a speed loader, unpack punch, and pack punch, whereas the Python only has a speed loader when you pack punch it. The Python is on every map except Buried, and the Remington New Model Army is only on Buried, except Remington New Model Army is cooler, has the speed loader in both forms, unlike the Python, so it's just statistically better. Both of these are just get out of my way as a weapon. Awesome. They're super satisfying. There's one weapon that kind of eclipses these a little bit, so I knock them down a little bit because of that. These guys are just awesome. They're so good, so satisfying, and especially the Remington New Model Army just looks so clean, so one of my favorite revolvers in gaming, honestly. So yeah, these crack 21 and 20, the Python and Remington New Model Army. In 19th place, we have the Old Faithful OG, the top dog, the Galil, which pack punches into Lamentation. Bottomless ammo. This thing has so much ammo. It almost counters the fact that it's a box weapon, the amount of ammo this thing has. The Galil has great damage, and it has 500 bullets in reserve. Absolutely insane. And it comes with a sight when you pack punch it, which is really great. It's even good in this game. In this game, you can get double tap with it. Like, what more do I have to say? It's the Galil, and it can get double tap 2.0. There's nothing else to say. This thing is incredible. You know how incredible it is. And on top of this, it's on every single map. So no matter what you're doing, you can get the Galil, and it will always be incredible. Next up, right above the Galil, this is probably going to be one of my more controversial picks in the entire video. I'm putting the Executioner right here at 18. The Executioner pack punches into the Voice of Justice. It's a double action revolver, but it fires shotgun slug. It has 12 pellets that each do 350 damage, and this thing, it does so much damage, and it mists the zombies. So if you're playing on a map that has flame zombies, it gets rid of them without detonating. It's incredible. Shoots really fast, and it has a lot of ammo. Sure, you can only reload one thing at a time, but you can cancel the reload whenever and fire if you need to. Overall, incredible, very useful. Get out of my face, bitch, as a gun, and it's better than the Sassafras and Cobra. It's just so good. I love this thing. It's so underrated, and it also looks really awesome, and I like its weird, like, toy, like, noise it makes. I don't know how to explain the noise it makes when you start to reload. It's just, it tickles my brain right. It tickles my brain right, and I like it.
At number 17, we got the Panzer Killer itself, the Scar H. The Scar is so good, just off the jump. It is a great weapon. This gun is in my top 10 favorite weapons ever in zombies. It is such a beast. Unpack-a-Punch, it deals up to 210 damage per bullet with a 4 times headshot multiplier. It has 30 bullets in a mag and 270 in reserve. And thanks to those 3 things that I just listed, the Scar H Unpack-a-Punch can hold its own in the mid-20s. I was playing with it for this ranking, and I was taking out the zombies in 5 to 10 shots, and I was killing panzers in the mid-20s, mind you, in less than 2 clips. And again, that's Unpack-a-Punched. But for whatever reason, if you feel the need to pack-a-punch it, it becomes the Agarthan Reaper. Honestly, might be the single best pack-a-punch name ever in zombies. It now deals up to 300 damage per bullet with a 5 times headshot multiplier. It also gets an ammo buff, now getting 40 bullets in a mag and 440 in reserve. The only bad thing about the Scar really is that it's only on Origins. If it was on the Victus maps or even Mob of the Dead, then I think it would crack the top 15, but since it's only available on Origins, it goes at 17.
Next up, in 16th place, we have my personal favorite wall gun. Yes, there's another wall gun above this that I will be having somebody else talk about, but I'm going to talk about the SVU. We're going to tag team this. The 2 best wall guns, honestly, I would argue in Zombies history. Ones in Black Ops 3 are carried by the fact that they can have AATs. These ones are just workhorses all on their own. Hit double tap on them, sit in a corner, they're good. You're good. Like, basically, for like until the 30s. Since they're especially on buried wall guns, you can just set up the wall by for it right next to wherever you're camping. So good. The SVU is so good, especially if you fire 2 bullets. You could really clean out a horde of zombies, clean out a line of zombies. It's really maneuverable, really good, really quick to aim in. I really wish you could get iron sights on it, but I understand why you can't. That might be a little much. SVU, my favorite sniper in all of zombies. That I could safely say. I don't know if it's the best sniper in all of zombies, but it certainly is the best wall sniper in all of zombies, and my favorite.
Thank you to Starlight for having me on. I was asked to review 2 weapons, so I chose the AN-94 and the Auf Wiedersehen, 2 of my favorites. But first, let's talk about the AN-94. Being bought on the wall in both Die Rise and Buried, the AN-94 redefined the wall weapon game, and became without a doubt the best wall weapon we've ever received at the time. Before, we were given weapons like the M16 and the Bar, which were okay weapons meant to get you into the mid-game to get a weapon that would get you into the late game. But the AN-94 truly felt like a late game choice you could pick up for essentially free in the early game. Sporting near identical stats to the Galil, the AN-94 offers players a reliable weapon on Die Rise and a weapon that aided in breaking Buried wide open. The AN-94 offers great ammo capacity, strong damage, and a fast reload. It's no wonder it's continued to return in future entries, and it has a place in my heart as the perfect AR that paved the way for the HVK, the Vapor, and other future ARs in the series.
In 14th place, we have the trusty zombie shield. Many of them, really. If I were to rank all 3 of them, I would put the transit shield in worst easily. Then right above it, I would put the Mob of the Dead shield. Then right above that, I would put the Origin shield. All 3 of them, though, are statistically identical. Transit shield has one less part to build than the other 2 do, and you can't carry more than one part at a time, but they're all right next to the buildable table, so it doesn't matter. The shield, it can kill zombies into like the 20s, and I think the early 30s, if I'm remembering right, but its main purpose is that 1, it can distract zombies if you place it down. It's not going to be like a panic situation, but if you need to go grab another shield and it's weak, just put it down. By the time it's destroyed, you can grab another shield and the zombies will be a little less aggressive coming after you. But also, it just protects your back for 15 free hits. That is awesome. It really helps with the skill gap of zombies to where it's not going to carry you if you're playing badly, but if you know how to position yourself with the zombies and you're very aware of how they maneuver and where they move, you can always have your back to them and always be safe from them. It's really good, really underrated. And if you're walking through a thin area where you know zombies are going to be popping up in front of you, put the shield in front of you. You're good, especially if you're out of wonder weapon ammo or something. Zombie shield overall is just such a good utility weapon. Even if it doesn't kill into high rounds, it's always going to save you. It's always going to protect you, and it's free for now. In 13th place, we have the only glitch weapon on this list. I just want to say really quick, shout out to Stanley557 for taking time out of his very busy day to help me get footage for this. I didn't know anyone else that knew how to get the elemental knife, so I reached out to Stanley. He said he'd help me. So we tag teamed this. I got the ice knife, he got the fire knife. Just look at the gameplay. The fire knife basically does infinite damage, and it hits like the iron fists do, and it kills multiple zombies at once. The ice knife does the same thing, but it only kills until about round 100. These are insane. You can go to round 100 with just these 2. Only con is you have to like die in the robot head to get them, and you have to do the whole Origins Easter egg, and you can't get this on solo, which is why it doesn't crack best weapons category. It goes right at the top of the amazing weapons category because of how many hoops you have to jump through to get it. But when you can get it, if you're playing co-op, free around 100 basically. Just have one person with the ice staff, one person with the elemental knife. You're honestly set. Free round 100. Thank you again, Stanley, for helping me get footage of these. The footage you're seeing on the screen, half of it is Stanley's with the fire elemental knife.
At number 12 is my favorite starting pistol ever, and that is of course the Mauser C96. I think it's statistically the most powerful, even though, you know, the Bloodhound, the regular one, does more base damage, but the general usage of this weapon is so OP, it's insane. You pair it with stamina, or even just without stamina, while running across the mud on Origins, shoot behind yourself, and you're going Mach 5 speed. The weapon one-shots zombies until about round 25 or so. Even then, it's a solid 1 to 2 shot kill if you're just aiming at the upper body in the head. It'll always be useful against the Panzers, even though, you know, you're probably going to be using like a fire staff on them instead, especially if you're going for the Easter egg. I'm not surprised that it was only on Origins because thematically it just fits the map very well. From the scope to the fact that when you pack-a-punch it, it turns into technically a projectile weapon because they're not actually bullets you're firing. They're more like ray gun laser beams. So yeah, I'm not surprised that this is the first weapon in the best category, and I really hope we can see more iconic weapons like this in the future.
FPSPsycho. In 11th place, we have the Blundergat, which pack-a-punches into the Sweeper, which is such a good pack-punch name. Oh my god. This is another break-action shotgun. There's a lot of these in this. There's a lot of these. It has a ton of ammo. It gets shit out of your way. Just no fucking around with headshot multipliers. No fucking around with pellets. But it fires 5,000 damage a shot. On most reasonable rounds, especially if you're doing like the Easter egg or something, that's getting stuff out of your way. If you're doing the Easter egg for Mob of the Dead, you're not doing high rounds, just due to the nature of the Easter egg. This weapon is so perfect for the Easter egg. I think it's even better than the Acid Gat for doing the Easter egg. If I'm doing the Easter egg on this map, I want the Sweeper. Don't care about the Acid Gat. Someone else can have it. But the Acid Gat is better for high rounds. We'll talk about that later. Overall, super solid weapon. You can get it through a quest, or you can get it from the mystery box. Whichever you feel like doing. If you feel like throwing axes, get it from quest. If you feel like, let's go gambling, get it. Next up in 10th place is the Paralyzer, yet another infinite ammo wonder weapon that oddly kind of sucks, but also doesn't. The Paralyzer, the best thing about it is just the maneuverability of it. Buried is designed so well for this wonder weapon. You can get around so easily once you know the weapon. You can just bob and weave, slide through all these buildings. It's so satisfying once you get the map flow down. But the main con of this weapon is that after pack punch and everything, it has a round 70 damage cap. At that point, this weapon is nothing more than just a zombie slower, which is it's after round 70, this thing is basically just undead man walking, but as a gun. It's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to carry you anywhere into the high rounds. It's good for the Easter egg though, except for one step. So while I acknowledge that this thing is really good, I cannot in good conscience put it any higher because of how harsh of a fall off it has, and at only round 70. Like, come on, at least let's get to round 100 with it. Like, come on, Treyarch.
Lightning Staff Gang, rise up. I repeat, Lightning Staff Gang, rise up. At the number 9 spot, we got the Lightning Staff. I don't know if you can tell, but I love this staff. This is my favorite staff. This is my go-to every single time I play Origins. I always go for the Lightning Staff. Like, yeah, I know, it is the worst staff, objectively speaking, but I don't even care because it is so much fun to use. When you first get the Lightning Staff, it comes with 132 shots total that you can just spam. You hold down the trigger on the Lightning Staff, it takes out anything in its way. When you upgrade it, it becomes the Komatsu Bite, and it now does a whopping 300,000 damage. It now has 198 shots total, but unfortunately you can no longer spam it when it's upgraded. Instead though, you get a super cool ball of lightning that will kill any zombies in its way. Until round 40. This staff falls off pretty quick in the high rounds, but it is still a wonder weapon, so it is still one of the best weapons on Origins to use, and also one of the 10 best weapons to use in BO2 zombies as a whole. And with that, I'm gonna toss it back over to my man Stanley to talk about the number 8 spot. Thank you Starlight for having me on your channel, and to everyone watching at home right now, like the video. I'm serious, like it now. You made it to the top 10, you're obviously enjoying the video, hit the like button. Alright Stanley, take it away.
Then there's my favorite staff, the Fire Staff. Being forged through map progression, the Fire Staff imbues players with a powerful element that grants players safety and power in the mid-game, but falls off in the late game against the long-lasting Wind and Ice staffs. The Fire Staff is best treated as a shotgun, and its raw output is unmatched for quite a long time. And in my opinion, it's the perfect panzer killer. Charging the weapon at max capacity produces a trail of flames that instantly kills any undead and panzer that tries to face these mighty flames. Sadly, this effect doesn't last all too long, and you'll be left vulnerable due to its poor area of effect and short uptime. Also, it's super cool in BO3, the animation was redone to better produce the effect that this staff is a flamethrower, especially when viewed in the third person. The Fire Staff stands toe-to-toe with its brethren, and has always made me feel like a god on the battlefield. Easily my pick for my favorite staff, even if it clearly isn't the best.
In 7th place, we have the Ray Gun Mark II. I love the Ray Gun Mark II. This thing is absolutely awesome, and I love the role that it fills. The regular Ray Gun kind of fills the role of an early round helper and mid-round helper, whereas the Ray Gun Mark II starts being really useful right as the Ray Gun Mark I gets bad. So once you're done with the Ray Gun Mark I, put it away, get the Mark II from the box. Such a good design philosophy. I really wish they continued with this and had the Ray Gun Mark III be really effective when the Ray Gun Mark II shits out in the higher rounds, but oh well, I will talk about that if I rank the Black Ops 3 weapons, because holy fuck did they drop the ball on that weapon. I really love it, but oh my god, what the fuck. Ray Gun Mark II is just so satisfying. 3 bullets, horde gone. What more do I have to say? Up until it's just as reliable as the Paralyzer is, as far as like rounds that it's useful. The Paralyzer has infinite ammo, and you can get around with it, but the Ray Gun Mark II is just so good on early rounds, and it's so good against mini bosses like Brutus and the Panzer, that I just thought it was way better than them. Ray Gun Mark II isn't quite underrated, but people do overestimate its damage a little bit. They say it's a 1 hit till round 70. That's not true. It's a 1 burst until round 70. It's a 1 hit until about the 40s. Kind of a clear distinction that I felt like I had to make, because if you go to high rounds with it and you're like, oh, this thing is shittier than everyone says it is, that's why, because there's a lot of misinformation about how this weapon works. The Mark II ray gun, when you go for the body, does 1500 damage, but it has a 21.5x headshot multiplier that makes it do a fuck ton of damage, and when it fires a burst, it one bursts until round 70 or so. And because it infinitely penetrates zombies, insert joke here about penetration, it's really effective if you're getting headshots, but it feels like a pea shooter if you're not. And it also counters the original ray gun in the fact that one fire at the floor, this one fire at the head. They just fill such opposite roles of each other, and they complement each other so perfectly. I love it. It is genius design. I'll talk about the ray gun Mark III another day. I have many thoughts about that weapon, but like Mark II ray gun is so good. Can't go wrong with this guy. Goes in 7th place. In 6th place, we have the Acid Gat, and when you pack a punch it and get its buildable kit on it, it becomes the Vitriolic Withering. This thing is basically cool green slime monkey bomb, Nickelodeon monkey bomb type shit. It's just incredible. It doesn't do quite enough damage to where it's gonna get you killed. It's only gonna get you killed if you position yourself poorly. It'll help you with getting yourself out of a jam, and it will kill zombies, but in higher rounds, all it's good for is getting you out of a jam, getting you points for buying traps and stuff like that. It's really good for high rounds as a great utility, but it's not the thing that's going to carry you to the high round, if that makes sense. It's just going to help you sustain the high round. So because of that, I can't put it any higher, because it's just not OP enough for me to put it higher, but it's still incredibly good. As I said for the sweeper, if you're doing the Easter egg, get the sweeper. If you're doing high rounds, get this. Next up, above the Acid Gat, here we're getting into the OP territory. This is where shit that's broken, it's busted, it's cracked beyond belief. 5th place, we have the Subsurface Resonator. What if I said this weapon is infinite damage, it is free, you can get as many as you want, requires a turbine to use, which you can also get as many as you want and is also free, and you had a wonder weapon that allowed you to fly over the zombies to go and grab another one for free and go back to where you were. What if I said all those things were combined with the most perfect camping spot in zombies history, with one of the best perks in zombies history right behind it? Yes, this is how you get to round 100 on Buried, not the Paralyzer. Paralyzer plays an integral role by letting you fly over the zombies to go get buildables for this, but the buildable table for this is right next to where you are going to be camping, and then the turbine you can also put very close by. Overall, this thing's not letting a single zombie through. This thing is basically the Thunder Gun as a turret. I'm not joking. That's how OP this thing is. It has infinite ammo because it's a buildable. It just breaks after a while and turns off every once in a while, at which point you can slow up the zombies, get out, grab a new one, you're good. This thing is absolutely cracked. And on lower rounds, when you can reasonably kill the zombies with like an SVU or an AN-94, easy. It's basically AFK your high rounds. It's incredible. It's so good. Top 5 easily. In 4th place, we have the Sliquifier. You cannot pack punch this weapon, which I think is kind of weird. I think you should be able to pack punch this to get more ammo. I understand why you can't. It just feels weird that you can't. Basically, this is lethal slip and slide as a gun. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not good with this thing. But when you are good with this thing and you like learn how to use it, I don't play Die-Rise enough to know how good this thing is firsthand, but I've seen tons of gameplay about how to use it. I just need to get more used to it. So I have to put it up this high, even if I don't personally think it should be this high. I just don't like this weapon that much. But this thing is absolutely cracked. It will get you to round 100 and no further, basically, is the summation, but it's still going to help you with dealing with the zombies. Sliquifier is tons of fun, so cool, really great for die rise, and it has some nice risk reward with the fact that you can just slide yourself off a cliff and die, which is fucking hilarious. But yeah, the Sliquifier is great. OP up until it's literally just not OP anymore. In retrospect, I feel like I should have put this below the Subsurface Resonator, but I know how good the Sliquifier is to people that are really good with the Sliquifier, so I'm going to keep it at number 4.
And we're back to talk about the next weapon on this list, and that is the fan favorite, Hell's Retriever. Now there's a reason that so many people were disappointed when it came back so much worse than Blood of the Dead. That's just because this weapon simply kicked so much ass in Mob of the Dead. The Hell's Retriever is an infinitely regenerating weapon, and it literally shreds through the zombies. Coming in with a whopping 2500 damage when fully charged, it's designed to take out large hordes of zombies, and it can even do some big damage to the Warden. And as a bonus, it can even pick up drops for you. When you throw it at a drop, like a max ammo, it goes and grabs it and it pulls it back to you, hence the name Hell's Retriever. What more could you want? And the best part? It only costs the souls of 18 zombies fed to 3 adorable hell puppies. It might just be one of the easiest weapons to ever acquire. And the other best part, we're not even done yet. It can be upgraded to the Hell's Redeemer, an infinite damage weapon that can take you far into high rounds and can even help you get out of some sticky situations if needed. And getting it is fairly simple. Just kill 30 zombies without firing your gun on the bridge, go back to Alcatraz, throw it in the lava, wait for a round for it to cook, go into Afterlife, and grab the blue glow stick. It's really easy. So, the cost for an infinite damage weapon that replaced monkey bombs in one of the best maps ever, and it's all for free? Sign me up. This weapon is one of the best weapons ever, and it definitely deserves this spot on the list.
In second place, we have the Wind Staff. My personal favorite staff, by the way, if you were wondering. No, I would never pass off my favorite staff to another YouTuber to talk about. Except I did. I gave it to Joltz because he wanted to do the lightning staff, and I felt like being nice. But Joltz isn't here right now, so the Staff of Wind is my favorite until he gets back. This thing is just the Thunder Gun with wings, and I love that. Sure, it's not quite as effective as the Thunder Gun with its regular shot, but the fact that it just makes tornadoes, and this is the only staff, by the way, that does infinite aim. The one that's above it, I will talk about why I put it above it when I talk about that one. But this is the only staff of all 4 of them that actually does infinite damage. I find hilarious, and they countered that by giving it limited ammo count, which is one of the reasons it's at second instead of first. Overall, can't go wrong with the Wind Staff. Super fun, super reliable, except for the fact that, like, once in a blue moon, the shots just won't work. But all the staffs have a weird glitch like that, so I'm not going to count it against it too hard. Wind Staff is an easy number 2. In first place, you all saw it coming from a mile away. You clicked on the video and thought, oh, this one's gonna be number 1. Obviously, it's the fucking ice staff. It's the fucking ice staff. Okay, you can get a free max ammo with it every round. You can freeze zombies. You can camp in a tunnel and use this. It kills the most reliably. It's the most reliable high round. It's great for the Easter egg because it fucks up the Panzer. It slows zombies to let you do stuff. Overall, it's incredible. It helps you collect all the stuff you need. The easiest for the Easter egg. Great for high rounds. As I said, you get a max ammo with it every fucking round. It's so good, so reliable. Only con with this is that it kills a little bit slowly, so you have to be aware of what you're doing. But that's the case with literally every staff in the game, so I can't really count it against it too much. As I said with the problem with the Wind Staff in the last one, that's this weapon's like catch that it has. All the staffs have one. Overall, the ice staff is just incredibly cracked. So good, so good. Even if it doesn't do infinite damage, it's the most reliable one for the Easter egg, and it's incredible for high rounds, even if it doesn't do infinite damage. So the ice staff is a pretty easy number 1. That is going to do it for this video. If you liked it, drop a like. If you disliked it, feel free to dislike it, but let me know why in the comments. If you liked ChickenTeller, B-Rad, Stanley557, FPSPsycho, or Joltz, and them talking about their favorite or least favorite weapons, go subscribe to them. Go follow them on Twitter. Check out their latest videos. They're all linked in the description. All of them are linked in the description. Go check them out. They're all great creators. Please go check them out. They make amazing content. Also subscribe here. I also make content, by the way. Hello. I also have a Discord and channel memberships if you feel so inclined and you would like to support me more directly. And if you would like to chat on the Discord with me and with other residents of the channel, feel free to do so. You can suggest videos, shit posts, stuff like that. I'm trying to get more people in the Discord, make it a little more active. Sometimes there's crickets in there right now. Come into the Discord, make it more active, please. Please, I beg of you. That is going to do it for this video. Thank you again to Joltz, B-Rad, Stanley557, ChickenTeller, and FPSPsycho for cameoing in the video. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed very, very much. Let me know what your favorite weapon is in the comments below, please. And please send some love to these other creators. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and stay evil, my residents.